Hey, YouTube, how's it going? It's Ked. We got another stand-up breakdown. I apologize for the delay. Basically, I wanted to take some time to read the comments and understand what I can do better for these breakdowns. And I think I got a good idea of what you guys want. We have a little bit more structure today. I have 5 clips to show you guys. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Joe Rogan. Reason being that Joe Rogan was commented a lot under my videos, and he was shit on a lot. And I was like, he kind of sucks, but there's some good to Joe Rogan. We'll talk about that when we cross that bridge. There's a lot more negative, and obviously, the more informative stuff I can give you guys in the audience is going to be on the negatives. And the two big lessons I have, because some of you guys only care to learn things and then move on with your life and not see the applications here. The two big lessons today are number one, anyone can do stand up comedy. And if you are on the ropes about if I should do it or not, fucking do it. Go to an open mic and have some fun. And worst comes to worst, you never do it again, but at least you did it once. And lesson number two, be careful with what you joke about and avoid punching down if you can. All right. First, we're going to break down point number one, which is about anyone can do stand up. And actually, I like Cat Williams here. Anyone can do stand up. We'll call it saw. Right? Anyone can do stand up. We're going to play this clip. We're going to react to it. And then we're going to move on with the rest of the video.
It's a vast place.
It's vast and it's also small because there's so few of us. And worldwide, we were talking about this the other day. There's maybe 500 of us on the planet. You know, you got to be real generous and say 500 because it's really probably about 250.
Right.
Like legit comics, guys you want to hang out with, guys who are fun, guys who you
250 legit comics. Okay. A dying breed, if you will. It's not like every open mic I go to ever, I see the same 10 people because I've been to so many. But yeah, I guess there's only 250 real comics. I think this is absolute bullshit. And anyone who sort of comes at you with this elitist mentality that, I'm like the best comic at this open mic, or, on the set tonight, I did the best out of everybody. I think it's a terrible way of looking at stand up. I think that everyone should understand, for one, I always preach this to anybody. You got to have good intentions. GI. You got to have good intentions whenever you go into things. Like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to laugh my ass off at everybody else. Right? If you don't have good intentions when you go and perform, I feel like it's going to go shit. Either you think I'm going to bomb or everyone else here sucks. You're just going to really shell yourself out from the rest of the people. And you don't have to do that in stand up. And I don't encourage it at all, because I think that the people that I've met at open mics and at performances are no different than you and me. They want to go on stage and perform because they have something that drives them to go on stage and make people laugh. Right? So number one, when you perform, always have good intentions. And then also you can just learn from others, right? Learn. I know the handwriting is shit. I'm using a mouse, okay? And before that, I was using a trackball, so cut me some slack. There's a lot to learn from other comics, all right? And then legitness, I think, is also BS. So if you go on stage and you make people laugh, and people are laughing and you are having a good time on stage, to me, that is all you need to be in order to be a successful comic, in my eyes. You are one of few that have the balls to write your own material, go on stage, perform said material, and draw a good reaction from the crowd. That's not common, Obviously, as far as making it as a comic, that's a whole nother story. That is a grind and a half that I don't know all the, I can't tell you how to get there as a comic, because I didn't do it. I haven't done it. But I can tell you, as someone who has gone out and have made crowds laugh, there's no better feeling than doing that. And chasing that high and being able to do that, I think, is the best success that you can have as a stand-up comic. And don't let any of these people, any of these celebrities, any of these people that make money doing this shit tell you that you making an audience laugh is anything less than what it is. That's all stand up is. And that's all the goal of stand up is. If you can make a crowd laugh, you're doing a good job. Okay. Which I know kind of makes me sound hypocritical because I'm so critical of things. But the difference between how I'm critical on it and how Joe Rogan and stuff is critical on it is I say, you can do it. You just need to work on these pointers. Joe Rogan's saying, only a few of us can actually do it. There's an elite crowd. Everyone else bombs. They don't know what we know. Stupid. I think it's bullshit too. Anyone that tells you that can go fuck themselves. Anyone can be funny. All right. Next, I want to talk about this Carlin interview. I actually figured I'd put this here first because I think it works better in the terms of flow. If anyone's seen this clip, this is on comedians who pick on underdogs.
I would defend to the death his right to do everything he does. The thing that I find unusual, and it's not a criticism so much, but his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power. Women and gays and immigrants are kind of, to my way of thinking, underdogs. And
let me just say that as far as if you want to shit on the system and you want to make your audience laugh, typically speaking, shit on the system. Okay, that's what I can tell you guys as far as joke selection is. Shit on the government, shit on anything that's medical because doctors make money, and even doctors hate the medical system. Shit on the medical system, shit on rich people. You can shit on white people too. You know, it's cool. You have my permission, anyone in the audience that isn't white, to go shit on white people. Shit on yourselves if you're upset with your culture. But typically speaking, you don't want to shit on minorities, women, immigrants, transgender people, gays, any of that. And the reason you don't want to do that is because of what's called the mirror test. Now, I want to go here. I think here is a good place to. Yeah, perfect. The mirror test. We're going to go here often, actually. So the mirror test is what I like to call, basically, you go in front of a mirror and you write down all your physical traits. Right? Oh, I'm a young white kid. My hair's gay, you know. I look like I'm in a frat. My shirt looks like I'm a prisoner. Right? You do all this stuff. Right? All these physical traits about you. And then you got to realize that as far as the audience is considered, what the audience sees is that they don't see, they don't see me, Cad, the YouTuber who has 128 subs and makes stupid stand-up bits. They see a guy who's white and has this voice to him. That's all they know about me. That's all they care to know about me. And really, that's all they should know. They don't know if I was bullied in middle school unless I tell them. They don't know that I actually donate money to charity, whenever they ask me, do I want to round up? And I tell them, hell no. They don't know that about me. I look at the kind of guy that thinks salt and pepper is too spicy, right? Even though I have a pretty decent spice tolerance, and I'll fight anyone on that. I'll go spice for spice with you. But anywho, I'm never going to you'll never see me make jokes about women, gays, or minorities. Because to me, if I was to try and make a joke about that, it would require a level of skill to where it doesn't feel like I'm bashing them or making them feel more oppressed than, historically speaking, they have been. And this is something too, sorry, my nose is itchy as shit, allergies, am I right? This is something too that you'll see in a lot of conservative comedy, right? And why a lot of it falls flat is because these people will shit on, these young white men will shit on minorities and women and, all these sorts of things. Even in the manosphere, you see it because it sort of puts pressure on their dominance. And you don't want that. Trust me when I say that you don't want to attract that crowd. You don't want to scare off half the crowd when talking about politics, especially if you don't know how to teeter the line. I think there is a few comics who do teeter the line very well. I won't say who they are because I don't want you guys to get inspired to go out and do that. All right. it takes a level of skill. And we'll break down an example of bad versus good as far as women, actually. That's what we're doing for today. This is a clip from Joe Rogan's Trigger. And this is from Favorite Flashbacks Frenzy. So thank you for the clip. I'll link everything in the description that I've covered. All 5 clips will be either in the description or the top comment, depending on character space.
Broken into while Obama was in office. The first time in over 100 years that someone broke into the White House. Also, the first time a girl was guarding the front door by herself. What are you trying to say? That women can't do everything men can do? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So I will give Joe Rogan the credit here, okay? And one thing that I really like about Rogan, and we'll talk about this when I do the burn the boats bit, that I actually did enjoy, he can act out multiple characters. And for some, it's just a matter of tilting the head and changing the voice. But really, Joe Rogan does break out, what are you saying? You know, he's got the hand, he's got the sass going on here. His posture's a little bit different. He's tilted, facing this way. This is all good stuff, you know? And the impression, the voice is obviously lower to make me look dumb.
Do everything men can do? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Then, you know, he's got the slouch posture, then he breaks out of it. I like this. I do. Not the joke. The joke is women are weak. And this turns into a whole bit about how women are weak. But I guess we'll watch it for the sake of it. I'm sorry to everyone in the audience, trigger warning, but yep.
So that seems sexist, right? People say you're sexist. No, it's not sexist. Here's why it's not sexist. Because men can't even do everything men can do. See? There's no physical equality, folks. That's why we have the Olympics.
By the way, this is after Joe Rogan said that Ronda Rousey could beat half of the men in the bantamweight division. Shit, man. You know, I guess women can't do everything that men can do, despite the fact that you glazed the shit out of Ronda Rousey. Don't think I forgot about that, Joe. Don't think I don't watch MMA YouTube. I feel like 4 of the top 5 people I have were MMA YouTubers, by the way. So shout out to them.
Because there's people that can do some shit that you and I can't do. One of those things is guarding the fucking White House.
Decent.
One of those things is guarding the fucking White House.
Okay, that's a funny frame to pause on. It looks like I'm, you know, taking a shit. I like this, actually, believe it or not. And when I break down the final clip, I don't hate this. Like, this is the acting from Joe Rogan has always been something that I appreciate. Even though some people think, oh, he just screams at everyone. He just humps a chair. I'd rather have someone who has too much energy than too little. Because, you know, you're always taught, or I'm going to teach you guys this. Every joke that you say, you need to say it like it's the funniest joke you've ever said. And pretend like it's the greatest thing that you're ever going to say that comes out of your mouth. Pretend like it's the funniest thing you're ever going to hear and they're ever going to hear. And trust me when I say that delivery is going to take you miles. Just look at Joe Rogan. You know, if I was to sit there and tell the jokes Joe Rogan tells in my style, it would not fucking work. It works for Joe Rogan because I think his energy whenever he talks is, I think maybe the best. He talks like a car salesman, like Andy Elliott sells cars. But sometimes you got to do that whenever it comes to selling your jokes.
You got this girl's like, I could guard the front door. Oh, you could definitely guard the door. No doubt, no doubt. And over time, if this woman doesn't sleep with one of these men and claim them, over time, these guys will just start morphing. And they'll just start saying ridiculous, preposterous shit. Like, Debbie wants to guard the front door. Do you have a problem with that? No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I think women are amazing. Plus,
Okay, so dunking on performative males. I'm actually okay with dunking on performative males, but doing so in the manner, or I guess societal, you know, hush hush about women's strength, I feel like isn't something you should say on stage. I feel like it requires a level of finesse that, you know, as much as I love Joe Rogan, I don't think he has it in him, you know? But I will say that I want to move on from this and show you guys someone who I find pretty funny as far as talking about women. And I'll explain the differences as far as the difference between how Ian Lara talks about women and how Joe Rogan talks about women. And it's a little bit subtle, but you'll notice.
Because you got to have empathy for the ladies. They go through a lot. You got to make them feel seen, no matter how ridiculous the shit they say is. You know, it happens to all of us. It happens to me. My homegirls, they go on dates sometimes. They come back, they complain to me about their date. I got to pretend so they don't get mad.
Already, you know, not saying women, but my homegirls. And also Ian Lara, by the way, shout out to him. I went to go see him live and he was performing, and I say the whole set was basically about, you know, how dating is hard and the differences between men and women. And he did that for almost a whole hour, and it was several different jokes about the same basic concept. And you'll notice here that I think what Ian Lara does really well is he doesn't just, you know, shit on the idea of women being strong. He doesn't do that. He more so shits on dating as a whole and how he wants to be more feminine, but can't due to the overwhelming expectations of masculinity. This sounds so fucking bred to me. I promise you I'm not trying to be this way, guys.
I got to act like I'm shocked. Like I've never heard of anything like this. What? He made you pay for the food that you ate?
Also fantastic acting by Lara. Like, if that was Rogan, he would be like, pay? You pay? That's crazy. Just simple head nod.
What a monster. That's an animal. That don't happen with us because no one cares about our complaints. You can't call a girl to complain about a date. She's just going to tell you to man up. You definitely can't call a man. Try calling your boy up one day to complain about a date. See if he give a fuck.
So once again, I feel like the difference between Ian Lara and Joe Rogan, if we want to get to here and discuss it, we'll create a little table here. So I find Ian Lara hilarious. I find Joe Rogan, you know, it's not bad either. It's okay. But I feel like with Ian Lara, his was, he dunked on men and women. Joe Rogan dunked on women and performative males, okay? These performative males that just want pussy. So, but in turn, it shits on women, just saying that the only reason anyone would agree with this is on the premise of sleeping with them. Ian Lara is saying, I can't talk to women because they'll tell me to man up, and I can't tell men because they'll never take me seriously. You know? Ian Lara highlights inequality as far as expectations. Joe Rogan says there's a reason why we have inequality. Ian Lara, by the way, never ever says that women are too soft and that we need to be harder on them. In fact, he says the opposite. He's like, I wish I had some of the breaks that we give women because I think that they have it good and we should have some of the things that they have as well. So Ian Lara, you can see, does so from a point of, in my opinion, much more good intentions, and highlights sort of the negatives of being a man instead of here's why women are incapable of doing what they can. Does that make sense to everybody in the audience here? We'll move on.
You can make up a date. Your life could be in danger. You can call your boy up right now like, yo, I'm on a date with this girl. She wearing a bomb. She got a bomb strapped to her chest. I think she gonna blow up the building. What should I do? Guarantee if he care about you, he gonna turn this sexual. He gonna be like, enjoy, nigga. That's what you should do.
I can't say the last part of that. But that's why Ian Lara's the GOAT, all right? No, he's not the GOAT, but he's fucking hilarious. And if you've never seen an Ian Lara set, go watch one. He's terrific, in my opinion. Now, as far as joke selection goes, what makes Joe Rogan different from Ian Lara? I just mentioned it, where Joe Rogan says women can't do certain things and puts them down and, you know, shits on performative males. Ian Lara says he wishes that he had the things that some women have. And I think that if you want to talk about some of that and talk about other cultures in the appreciation aspect, I think it's okay to do so. For example, I had a bit, I have never done it, I'm not going to do it yet, on getting a compliment from a black person. All right? Now, if to anybody who doesn't know, by the way, I think some other comics have done this bit before. getting a compliment from a black guy is like a top 3 feeling ever, especially if it's a it's a black guy with style telling you that you got style, or a jack black guy telling you that you look jacked. All right. It's just something about getting a compliment from a chill black dude. It's just the best feeling in the world. Anyone can tell you this. All right. To anybody in the comments, this is not racist shit. This is fucking real. All right. Getting a comment from a black guy is worth like 100 white guy compliments. And I thought about doing a bit on that. And I think that's more okay than a bit on like black ladies calling me racial slurs, which I also thought about doing a bit on that. Ultimately scrapped it because, you know, that's fucking weird. You know, I'm going to go on stage, fail the mirror test, and people are going to be like, oh my God, why? This guy's fucking preaching about nothing. So before we analyze the final Joe Rogan clip, I kind of sort of want to get the idea of how to mistakes I've made, which I just talked about, and then how to avoid, I guess, avoid making this mistake. So I guess avoid mistakes. And so what I'll do is I'll always highlight the key points first, do the breakdown, then we're going to talk about how I fucked up in doing this in the past and why I've made this video, and then how you can avoid these mistakes, what I've done to sort of mitigate these. The first thing in order to avoid this particular mistake, which is terrible joke selection, is the mirror test. All right. So the mirror test is write everything about you that's physical and understand that that is everything that somebody is going to look at you for. You know, people are going to see you on stage and that's their first impression of you ever. That's why dressing is also so important. And I talked about it in the last video, but whatever. Your first impression is this. They're not going to know about your experiences or, you know, how much your parents make or how much you've made or, you know, your struggles and job applications or the 9 women that, you know, you can't decide which one to ask out, or the fact that you know, wore a banana costume and for Halloween and thought you were the shit, but you ended up just getting bullied and had a banana shoved up your ass. This happened to everybody, by the way, not just, I know this didn't just happen to me. So mirror test. Okay. The second tip, I guess, outside of the mirror test is to workshop. And this is scary to a lot of people because they don't want others to read their jokes. Have others read your jokes or walk through your process with other people. I have a few friends that I do open mics with, and I always run jokes with them now. And the reason I always run jokes with them is because they'll catch me on certain things, you know? And I have friends of various ethnic backgrounds as well to make sure that it's sensitive, you know, to their culture. And I feel like if you can do that and you can workshop with other people and they're going to be like, yeah, this is funny shit, you're going to have a less likelihood of accidentally doing a joke on how women suck, you know, or another premise. Ideally, you want to run your jokes by somebody who has a completely different sense of humor than you, not your best bud, but like a good friend of yours, you know, if you can workshop. And then if you don't have any friends like me, you can always just use like an LLM, like Chat GPT, or, you know, any of those, like Grok, if you want, and just say, hey, you know, run this by me. Is anything here insensitive? And if so, what is insensitive, or what is seemingly punching down? And I promise you that doing any of this and then proofreading and going over your content again, you're going to avoid those mistakes tenfold. And to anybody that wants a quick list of topics, once again, to stick it to the big man, always the doctor. The doctor's like the safest joke in the world. Obviously, the government. I shat on Stephen Hawking, which you could also say, you know, it's like disabled people. Really, Kat? You'd be shit on Stephen Hawking he's physically disabled. He's mentally fucking awful. All right. He's a shitty human being. And no wonder nobody went to his stupid fucking time travel thing. I hate Stephen Hawking, dude. That's my fucking op. Oh, you're going to be also the cripple? Yes. All right. So, yeah, doctor, government, and then rich people or celebrities. And boom. You want something to shit on any of those. All right. Take out your anger on them. If you're pissed off, get pissed off at them. All right. But finally, I want to analyze this clip from Joe Rogan because I didn't think this one was so bad. This also comes from Favorite Flashbacks Frenzy. Shout out to them. Once again, links in the description. And we're going to break this down, and then I'll call it a video, and we'll get this uploaded to YouTube. You can skip. This is more of a breakdown like I did in my older videos. Otherwise, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Gentlemen in this room, I want you to imagine you're on a date with a woman and she's the one. All right? If you get lucky, you will find the one. But sometimes you're not with the one and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen. Like one bad relationship after another. You're so frustrated. Like, am I ever going to find someone I fucking love? And then finally, you're on a date with the perfect person.
Before I continue, let me just say that I'm a fan, once again, of Joe Rogan's energy. You know, the way he opens the eyes, the way he's squatting and doing all this, you know, performance shit. I think that some people think it's over the top. He's always screaming. And yes, he does. He's always at an 11, which you don't want to always be at an 11. But I'd rather you always be at an 11 than always be at like a 2. And there's tips for this too, you know. Just start acting. I'm not even trolling. Like, act in your own room. Just like, here's an impression of this. And it could be the shittiest impression ever, but do impressions and really start to incorporate your body into it. But yeah, I really like Joe Rogan's acting here. And look at the eyes. It's funny.
She's so fucking cool. You're drinking margaritas. You're imagining having a family together. And she's like, in the interest of full disclosure.
Also, another thing, look at the posture change. He's mimicking a woman, like a sassy woman, I guess. He's changed the voice. Obviously, it's a little grainy and annoying, but he's changed the voice. He's got the sass, even the way he's holding the microphone. This is good shit. This is good acting here. And not everyone does this, believe it or not. This is good confidence on stage from Joe Rogan.
I just want you to know that for the last 10 years, I was in a relationship with a woman. And you're like, low miles! Woo!
So I guess the setup and the premise was, oh, this is going to be bad because, you know, she's ran through. And then it's like, yes, low miles, baby. That's sort of the punchline here, I guess.
You call your friends up. Dude, it's like a barn find. Yeah, it's like a 69 Mustang that was under a tarp.
Then the low miles turning it into, you know, analogies between a pussy and a used car. I say what you want. I actually found this, the first time I watched it, I found it quite enjoyable. Especially the low miles. Yeah. I just like the fact that, to me, it subverted my expectations. So the only thing I don't like is that he goes on for like another 15, 20 seconds, the exact same punchline.
A lady had it. Yeah, she took it out of me a couple days and licked it. Look at all the rubber on those tires.
Okay. Again, think it's funny. He's also using the, you know, Joe Rogan's also really good at, I guess, painting a picture of a scene with his acting. Okay, he's actually pretty fucking good at the acting part, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But the joke writing isn't all there, and he's repeating the punchline. Funny, yes, but do we have to say the same punchline 10 times? No. If we're reusing a premise and we're reusing a setup, at least you want to put some kind of build up in between, like to something else. But if you're just repeating the punchline, it feels like you're just saying, you need to laugh now. Go laugh now. And you'll see that a lot with people who break down Joe Rogan. It's like he's almost telling you when to laugh. Like it's Jeb Bush's please clap, but obviously shittier. But this is to say that I don't think Joe Rogan is all bad. I think a lot of people say he's the worst comic in the world. I don't think so. I don't think he's the worst comic. I don't think he's in like the 10 worst comics I've ever seen. But I do think that he is overly dependent on his high energy, high octane acting. And obviously people call him a stool humper and all this stuff, but he, you know, his writing isn't all there. And if you're a fan of that sort of creative writing and, you know, the clever wordplay that you'll see out of a performance like Ryan Hamilton or Carlin or even Chappelle, right? You're not going to get that with Rogan. But Rogan does have the energy. And I think that obviously someone needs to have the shop talk. This is off his Burn the Boat set. I was going to do a whole breakdown of Burn the Boats, but I'm not going to. But yeah, honestly, there are things to learn about Rogan. Look at his acting. If you want to just mute and just look at how he's acting on stage, he looks funny when he does it. Okay. And I think he does a pretty good job at the acting part. Take some inspiration from that. He sort of bends. I don't think he's hacking when he does his acting. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we've hit 30 minutes. If you've been watching this long, let me know what I've done wrong. You guys have been great, honestly. These last 3 videos have been like Linsanity. You know, I got 1,500 and 200. I've never had a streak this good in any 3 consecutive videos ever. So it tells me that the premise works, but I need to start honing in how I do these breakdowns and be more concise and be better. And with that, I've been Kat. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been one of my longer videos, but I've enjoyed it a lot. You guys have been terrific, really. I can't thank you guys enough. And for anyone that leaves the negative comments as well, I also appreciate it because it gives me a base on how I can improve in these videos. And ultimately, the goal here is I want to be good enough to explain what I like and what I don't like about certain comics and things to take away from them. And yes, we haven't been breaking down the best comedy aside from Peyton Roddy, who fucking killed it. But yeah, this is my big Joe Rogan breakdown, things I like, things I don't like. And yeah, I've been Kat. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike and tell me what you guys think. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Tell your parents you love them. Eat your Wheaties. And I don't know, don't key your ex's car. You don't want to go to jail or some shit. All right. Peace.